Because we know people who should be successful, but what? They're not successful. Why?
So that's his why buy. But what is he afraid of?
My personal style of education, but still entertain them, bring them along with stories, right? Who do we want to learn from? People who are what? Killing it.
If you're a real man, what do you do? I'm not the only one.
You can't wait to tell your spouse. You can't wait to tell your colleague. You can't wait to go to work and tell somebody. And you're like, oh my God, I can't wait. So what happened?
If you haven't seen my TV show, you should get cable. That's what we need to do.
From doing a TV show to doing corporate events, I've been so lucky to connect with many passionate entrepreneurs worldwide.
What I've learned from a business perspective.
Because this is the formula for success, no matter who you talk to. Attitude will drive your behavior. Would you agree? And your behavior will drive your consequences every single time.
All right, we got the concept. Okay, we got the concept. We got the equipment, right? We got the brand. You guys got that. And then again, we got the content that we create. That's the easy part. This is the big one, the big C, which is the commitment.
What should you do? That's right. All right. 10Xers, do not fail me. True test. Here it comes.
There's skill, and then there's will. Listen to what I'm saying. There is skill, and then there is will. And here's the interesting thing. I know a lot of people who have a lot of skill, but have no what? Will, right? You ever look at somebody who's successful, and you say, why them, why not you? Yes, okay, that's me too.
You have more control, but your costs are also going to be what? Higher.
Now, here's where some of the magic is starting to kick in.
You can talk to any CEO in the B2B business, any CEO. You walk into his office and they only care about three things. People too. Yeah, you with the suit, put it up. There you go. I hope you can see this. I'll try to draw big. Let's pretend for a moment that I have 7 territories. You remember I wrote that out? Yes or no? Boom. Territory 2, territory 3, all the way to territory number what? 7. So now I've segmented my market.
So content is going to start being created by machines. And I'm telling you right now that those people, you guys, the content creators that connect with people are the ones that are going to win. Some people think, well, it won't work for my industry. Really? It'll work for any industry. Trust me. The majority of the time when we're looking to fix something, repair something, or learn something, where do we go? YouTube. We don't even want to read anymore. We go to YouTube. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong.
When you're doing your thing, beautiful things begin to happen. It's like the law of attraction kicks in. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're in line with the universe. Everything works. And when you do your thing, everybody gets an automatic MBA, which stands for what? Mega Bank Account Money. Are you with me? So we don't want to do a thing. We want to do a what? Beautiful.
All right, put it all together for Victor Antonio. Here we go.
All right, there we go. I'm not here to mess around. You ready to learn, yes or no?
That's how it works in today's market. Whether it's B2B or B2C, you see the similar pattern. How do you just, in other words, say you got to start doing these things, pushing them, but also encouraging them. Oh, look at this. This is where it gets, dude, this is like so interactive with audiences, Matt. Can you imagine this with your customers? Check this out. Now, what does all this have to do with selling? It has everything to do with selling.
All right, well, welcome to another episode of Sales After Dark, where money
never sleeps, man. Episode. Holy buckets. I got to write it down. Only because we're getting close, folks. We're getting close. Ocho, look at that, man. 88, man. What do you think of that? Hey, by the way, I got a riddle for you. You want to hear a cool riddle? What if I draw a line right here, right? So that's 188. 188. How could you add one more line to make that number 200? What do you think? Come on, little brain teaser to get you going. Where would you add a line to make that 200? Do you have an idea? If you don't, I'll give you the answer. Here's how you make this 200 with one line. You just basically cut it right there. There you go. Anyway, I know. Cheap parlor trick. I got it from you guys. I'm just having fun with you guys. But anyway, welcome to the Sales After Dark, man. This is episode 88. For those of you who've been with me on the journey, 12 more after today, man. So we're going to hit 100. And I think we'll do it before the end of the year. So we started this adventure May 4th, and we're still doing it, man. So let's see who is on the board. And by the way, if you're watching this on the replay, here's how it works. I'm going to say hi to my folks, and then we're going to jump into some content, 10 to 15 minutes. I'll do some Q&A, and then I'm out of here. So if you want to skip the questions or comments at the beginning, just fast forward 3 to 5 minutes, and you should be good to go. First on the board, Brian, man, I hope you're feeling well. I'm just another sociopathic salesperson back for more. Thanks, Victor, for another great interview. Sales Enable with Aaron Evans on the Sales Influencer podcast, man. So again, check out my Sales Influence podcast. That was another great interview. And what I'm trying to do, and Chris Stone has been a real big help with this, editing the videos and cleaning up the audio. What we're trying to do is, I'm trying to interview people who are like frontline salespeople who are really going through the stuff, right? They're having to go through what you're probably going to go through. So I'm interviewing not so much gurus. We're talking to a lot of experts, but frontline salespeople, people who are day in, day out, grinding it out. So if you haven't subscribed to the Sales Influence podcast, why not? And if you know somebody in sales, send them the link to the Sales Influence podcast. You can find it on all the podcast platforms. So Brian, man, thank you for watching that, because that is a good one, man. Mia Knox, West Coast, my girl. How's it going, Mia? Always glad you're here. Thank you for being here. Elite SMMA, SMA. I'm just going to say SMA, Elite SMA. Good evening, friends. Good evening right back at you, man. Got a couple of highs here from you. Tarun, how's it going, man? Good morning from India, man. You're up early with me, man. I appreciate that. And Elite, right back at you, man. Thank you. I'm trying to be consistent, man, with an E. I got your correction. Scott Kane, free sales training. Why not take advantage of it? Am I right, Scott? Why not take advantage of it, Scott? Why not take advantage? And there he is, the man, the myth, the video legend himself, Chris Stone. If you love the intro to this Sales After Dark, that's the guy that did it. If you love the videos that you watch on YouTube, the Sales Influencer series, that's the guy responsible. He's the guy that cleans up all the mess. Sometimes we don't get the right audio. Sometimes the video's a little off. Chris has some great stories, and it isn't that's our fault sometimes. It's just the way the system works. And he's the guy that just kind of like the guy behind the curtain who does that, and out comes a great interview. So Chris, thank you very much, man. Elite wants to connect. There it is. Connect on. Enoch Daniel, man. Good morning. Enoch, where you at, man? Where are you from right now, since it's morning where you're at? Good evening from Fremont, California. Kush Patel. Love it, man. There's my guy, Trinidad Tobago himself, to the end of the year, bringing us value. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Jared, you and you're going to be on the Sales Influencer podcast. It's just a matter of when we can arrange a time. But, dude, I want you on the podcast, man. We're going to have a chat, okay? Maestros en Oficios. Buenas noches desde Mendoza. My man, bienvenido. Let me see. Kevin Lawson, good evening from Youngstown, Ohio. I've always loved Youngstown. Isn't that where they got the, is that the baseball museum? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it is, though, right? Kush Patel, in the middle of the zeros. In the middle of the zeros. I have no idea what that means, man, but I'm curious. You've piqued my interest, man. Brian, Brad. Looking forward to hearing you drop knowledge today, Brian. Thank you for joining me, man. Let me see. We got Irene saying, good morning. Where are you from? Irene. Every time I think of Irene, I think of that song, Come On, Irene. You remember that song? If you know what I'm talking about, hit me with a one, Irene. Kush Patel, you guys will connect there. Beautiful. Royston Gibbs, man. Greetings. Right back at you, Royston, man. Thank you for joining me. Maestros en Oficio says, ¿Crees que
esa famosa frase de Peter Drucker, negocios en marketing o innovación, sigue siendo aplicable en este momento. Estoy 100% de acuerdo. Yo soy un fanático de Peter Drucker. Anyway, we're just admiring Peter Drucker right here. Good evening, Rosa Hopkins. Man, thank you for being here. Anderson Pereira da Costa from Brazil. Saludos. India, there you go, my man. Thank you for joining us, Enoch. Appreciate you, man. Hello from Alpharetta. That's like down the road a mile. Scary, man. All right, so let me see who else we got. Luis Bosquez, man. Hey, Victor, thanks again. Luther, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Jared on the SIP. Dude, yeah, I got to get Jared on there, man. It's going to be fun. Sparrow's Tail is actually here, man. Good evening, brother, man. Glad you're here. It was the riddle you had earlier. Oh, my bad. All right. So in between the zeros. So you did get it, man. So good for you. Good day. TJ, back in the house, man. Thank you for being here. A couple more that we're going to jump in. Arvin, good morning from Mumbai. Happy Diwali Festival of Lights. I've always, wanted to be there. Wouldn't it be great to be there while that's happening? So anyway, congratulations. Happy festival out there. Victor, what do you think about selling a full-service digital solution to business? If it'll help them make money, yes. How's that for a short answer? Come on. It's Eileen, not Irene. All right. Mile, apparently, man, you know more than I do. Okay, maybe that's just reminding me of it. How's that? June enero. Enero. Okay, sounds like you had 2 months going on there. June and enero in Spanish, but that's not it. Blessed Monday from Philippines. Thank you for joining us. TJ says, and I'm going to just jump into the content here real quick. And to SAD, Peeps, Brian, Pete, all those, first time celebration. Love it, man. Neilkanth Pararath. Did I get that close? Neilkanth Pararath. I think I got that one, man. Good morning from India, man. Kerala. I've never heard of Kerala, India. Thank you for joining me. All right, one more. Leon Daly. Let's jump into this thing, man. All right, so I was with I had a coaching client. Well, it wasn't a coaching client. I had somebody reach out on Friday. Now, Friday for me, Chris knows this already. Chris knows me already. I don't work on Fridays. I call it free day. I like 3-day weekends. That's the kind of lifestyle I'm living, right? So I call it a free day. So on free day, my Friday, gentleman sends me an email, and he says, look, I got a big presentation on Monday. We need to pitch our product. I don't know how to pitch it, Victor. I just really need help. And I said, I thought this would be one of those random emails that I'd just say, all right, here's the price. If you want me to do some coaching, here it is, right? So for those of you who look at my website, you'll see my coaching program is 2 sessions for $750, right? Not keeping it a secret, being open about it. And so I sent him the link, right? I just sent him the link, yeah, $750, 2 sessions. And within less than 5 minutes, he responded back, money's in the bank, when do I start? And I'm like, so this guy was really serious. He needed to get this done. So we got together on Friday, my free day, and then we got together this morning. So on Friday, we just went through the whole product presentation, everything he had to do with his product, right? And then today, midday, on a Sunday, yes, I worked for this guy on a Sunday because he really wanted to get this done. He has a big presentation tomorrow morning. And so we were going through, how do you put together a 15-minute presentation, right? And I was helping him, pulling it all together, because what's happening online virtually, you guys know this, I'm just repeating what you guys already know, and that is that people's attention spans virtually have shrunken, right? So a typical presentation to an enterprise company, this is a B2B sale, by the way, is, if you're doing it face-to-face, person-to-person, in person rather, you can get away with a good 45, 50, maybe even a 1-hour presentation and still keep it engaging. But as we're finding out, because of people multitasking, not turning on their cameras or whatever it may be, that now that we present virtually, we actually got to kind of shrink that a little bit. And so I was like, look, if I were you for the product you're presenting, what I would do is I'd go in hard with a 15-minute presentation. Now, it may go more than 15 minutes, but make sure you get everything out in 15 minutes. And so it was one of those, how do you do that? And so I gave him what I call the superstructure of what a 15-minute presentation looks like. And so I'm going to give you the superstructure of the 15-minute presentation. Now with his, we actually got into detail of what you put in, but I'm going to give you at least the superstructure so you can work with. So the superstructure of a 15-minute presentation. So here's the scenario. You got a presentation tomorrow, right? And then you only got, even if they give you 30 minutes, you don't want to use all 30 minutes. You want to always finish earlier than what they expect. That's always a big plus if you can do that. I used to do it all the time. I used to ask for an hour and I would be done in like 30, 35 minutes. And they were like, "You're done?" I'm like, "I'm done. I'm closing. Here I come." Right? And people always appreciated that. So if you have a 1-hour presentation or even 30-minute presentation, imagine going in and doing a 15-minute presentation, but an effective 15-minute presentation. Again, let me put an asterisk on this. I'm not saying you always have to do a 15-minute presentation, but if you have to, this is the structure I would recommend. So 15-minute presentation, you have a product you want to, so what you want to do is, one of the mistakes that this gentleman was making is that they're going in there to do the presentation and he was more like in discovery mode, asking a lot of questions. I was like, no. You have to walk in knowing their business already. You have to know their business and know how your product is going to help their business, right? Know their business, know the market space, but know how your product is going to help them. Don't go in there asking questions. Go in there knowing what you want. Now, I also told them to begin with the end in mind. And the end in mind is, what's your offer? This is important. Where are you going to land? For those of you who've been with me on my Sales After Dark journey, you know I'm all about figure out where the landing is, where you want to land, and then figure out how you get there in your presentation so it's a smooth landing like a pilot. You ever see a pilot just bring it in and gently just goes, it just lands nicely? That's what you want. Bumpy is because you don't know how to get there, but when you know where you want to land, it's just smooth. So step number 1 in the superstructure, I said, you need to start out by highlighting the current state. Now, when I say the current state, what do I mean by that? You need to highlight, let me get it here on a close-up for you. By the current state, I mean, what's the current state? What's happening in your business? You're not asking the customer what's happening in their business. You're telling them what's happening in their business. So imagine you're coming in and says, "Mr. Customer, here's what's probably happening in your business." Now, don't be too presumptuous. This is why you say, here's what's probably happening in your business. 1, because of, let's say, the pandemic, this is impacting A, this is impacting B, this is also what's happening, and you're starting to see these things. And you can see it in their face when they go, "Yeah, that's what's happening." And you'll know because you'll get that sense of agreement. They'll go, "Yeah, that's what's happening in our business," right? But then, once you do that, and I would just spend, in this case, I said, use 1 slide on that one. Just 1 slide on your current state. Here's what's currently happening in the business. And you don't have to give them, I would do 3 to 5 things that are happening in their business. 3 being ideal, 5 being the limit. Here's what's, from our perspective, here's what's happening in your market. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is this making sense? Yeah. Then, now, you just gave them the state of the union, what's happening in their business. Now, you go to the second slide, right? And the second slide, here's where you're going to go for how it's going to what? Impact their business. How is it impacting? Is it positive or is it negative? And, most likely it's going to be negative. But how is it impacting their business? And then, again, if you know their company, you know the market, and you know what your product is, you'll know how it's impacting them. So here's what's interesting. When you're talking about the current state, this is a very fine line. When you're talking about the current state, this is just basic information, right? Let's just put information right there. That's just basic information that everybody probably knows. Everybody gets it, everybody understands it, everybody's on board. The impact, this is when we often hear the word insight. Insight to me is, I didn't think about it that way, I didn't realize it, and you start talking about how it impacts their business. Okay? Same thing. Now on this one, what you want to do is you want to use 2 slides. 2 slides. That's it. To talk about how it's impacting their business. And what I would suggest is pick 2, maybe 3 things that you can know that's impacting, that you know is impacting their business, right? It could be productivity. It could be churn rate. It could be turnover. It could be all these things. What is it? How is it impacting their business? It could be revenues are going down, costs are going up, market share shrinking. Pick 2 or 3 things, and then that's when you talk about this during the impact. Now, if you've done this right, if you set it up like, here's what's currently going on in the market, broad picture. Here's how it's impacting you, make it personal, make it painful, be empathetic. You, right? And then if you've done that right, and they go, yeah, I guess we never thought about it, that would impact our business this way, then the third piece is when you move to obviously your solution. This is when you introduce your solution. Now again, the powerful thing here is if you do the second step right, which is the impact piece correctly, once you get to the solution piece, then they're ready to listen. Now remember, this is a 15-minute pitch. 15-minute presentation, you're going, right? You're going. So now here, I'm going to say you take 3 slides. 3, that's it, 3 slides to explain your solution, because now you got to open it up a little bit. You got to talk about your product and services a little bit. You got to explain how it's going to help them. And by the way, this right here, your proposal on the solution is going to help solve what? Those problems right there. That's how you tie it back, right? So once you do the solution and you walk them through the solution, then the last thing that's left is the what? It's what's the offer? And I'm going to suggest you have option A, you have option B, and option 3. You know me, I like 3 options, right? Low, middle, high, good, better, best. Now, once you do the offer, here's what I want you to do. This is where the subtle part comes in. By the way, this one is only 1 slide. So right now we're looking at what? 4, 5, 6, 7 slides. 7 slides for you to do this presentation. Now, here comes a little flip. When you're doing the offer, right? Let me move this over so you can kind of see that. When you're doing let me put it down here. When you're doing the offer, when you're doing that offer, right? Here's what I want you to do. Do the offer, says, look, right now we're looking at 3 different options or 3 different directions we can go in. We can go with A, we can go with B, we can go with C. Then you're going to come down here, and this is where you're going to talk it. You don't need to put up a slide. You're going to talk it. You're going to say, I'm going to recommend option B. And then you tell him, here's why. He says, based on what I know about your company, based on whatever it may be, you come up with the criteria. I'm going to recommend that let's not go with the higher option, C, because that might be too much. And I don't want to go with A because I want you to have certain features, certain functionalities, certain services at your disposal. Let's go with option B. And then you go back again and you start talking about that slide again. And then you're asking for a commitment. That's a 15-minute. Go in, make a presentation, ask for a commitment. Now, keep in mind that when we get to the offer, it isn't always about closing the deal. Maybe we're just trying to get to the next step. The next step could be maybe advancing the sale, meeting with the higher ups, right? With the true decision maker. Maybe that's what the close is. So maybe your offer here is a close on meeting with other decision makers. It could also be, instead of an offer like price 1, price 2, price 3, it could be a field trial, something to try it out with. That could be your close. But my point is, you got to plan this out. Just all the way, just really plan this out in terms of how you want to do it, right? And here's what I'm going to suggest. You time this out. You're going to spend 4 minutes on this part right here. 4 minutes on that part right there. Just spend 4 minutes, right? On here, spend your 5 minutes. And again, you can play with this you want. And then definitely spend more time here, 6 minutes, on the actual offer. So if we look at that, that's 15 minutes right there. That's how I would break those up. And that's a good superstructure for doing a presentation. Now, the trick is obviously getting the right content in place. But what if you challenge yourself to do a 15-minute presentation, only using 6, 7 slides, including the offer, 7 slides. That means now you have 7 slides to make. By the way, there's an intro slide over here. We don't count that one, right? So, and again, there could be a context slide at the end. We don't count that. We're talking about the content slides. So all of a sudden, you can do this 7 slides, 15 minutes. This would be one way of going in there and having a conversation. So think about this. If you're doing this online, let's say you're an SDR, you got the meeting, you're going to talk to the actual client. Then right here, the solution, that's your online demo, right? Follows the same format. We're going for the close, man. We know, let's keep this in mind. And I know it depends on the market you're in. But many times you only get one shot at the customer. One. And then you can't get them on the phone again or can't get them on a Zoom call, whatever it may be. So what if in our mind we had a 15-minute closing presentation? And I bet you right now that if I asked 100 people on this live stream, guess what? Almost 99% will tell me I don't have a 15-minute closing presentation. When I'm talking about a closing presentation, I'm talking about an A to Z close. This is an A to Z closing presentation in 15 minutes. And that is what I wanted to share with you on this episode of the Sales After Dark. So anyway, now I'll take some questions and let's see what we got, man, all right? And I know there's a lot of stuff coming up here, man. So I know I missed a lot of questions. Let me go back, hold on. And by the way, again, if you're wondering what I'm looking at, I got this little camera here. So this is me scrolling up and down, trying to see all these comments as they go through. So that's a lot of comments I'm looking at. So let me kind of go back to my camera. So let me see, right here, TJ, Chris Stone. Love a cup of tea's in the house. All right, love a cup of tea. Really good stuff, but have to go. Catch you on the VOD. I love it. That's good enough, man. Hi, Victor and everybody. Elkin, thank you for joining us. What is this? TJ says, this reminds me when I was given a 2-hour slot and my president was only 22 minutes. Your presentation was only 22 minutes. The audience was surprised because they learned a lot in 22 minutes thinking my presentation would take over an hour. I think you can do it. I think people genuinely are pleasantly surprised and lean forward more, especially when you finish early. They're just like shocked, and I think they appreciate the fact that you just go in it deep. Great insight, Victor. I really think this is going to help me with my presentation. Try it, Leon. I mean, force yourself to create this 15-minute presentation. By the way, the structure itself, that's the easy part. Filling in the content, the right words to say, when to say it, how to say it, sequencing, that's the trick. That's what we did this morning or midday today with this coaching client. We went through all the stuff. Here's what you say. Here's how you open it. Here's how you close it. Here's what you show. Here's what you don't show. Here's what you highlight. Here's what, that's the trick. But the superstructure, you begin with that in mind. True test is knowing the real impact. Be in their shoes. The pain comes from the problem. Find the problem, not just the pain. Absolutely, Spencer. Can't argue with that, man. Excellent process for presentations as well as standard sales calls. People are in a hurry and have also many distractions. You can always go longer if the clients want more. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. When you get to the end, Brian, you know this. If there's a few minutes left and they want to keep talking, they'll keep talking. And so I love it. My man says, always be closing me. Neil Cantus, love it, man. And by the way, I did that presentation. If you take out the intro and our conversation here, I bet you I did that in like 10 minutes. Like 10 minutes. It probably took like 10 minutes to actually do that presentation. Going too long will lose your audience. More gold, Vic. Thanks. Love it, Matt. I don't have a 15-minute closing presentation. At least you're honest. At least you're honest, Jared, right? Because most of us don't. I definitely don't. Again, we have a pitch deck, but it's 18 minutes. I mean, that's not bad. I mean, that kind of fits Elite. Again, 18 minutes, 15 minutes. I'm not going to be picky. If you got an 18-minute pitch, way to go, man. If you can tighten her up, why not? But 18 minutes is fine. What slide program / presentation software do you recommend? I'm a Mac guy, so I use Keynote is what I'm currently using. I looked at using some of the fancier ones like Prezi, the kind of zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. But I've gotten away from that. And because when I do workshops, I minimize the amount of presentations. I always use the whiteboard. Right? So that's one of the things I've learned. Engagement increases when you draw and use the whiteboard. And so if you can find a way to blend a PowerPoint presentation or a Keynote presentation with some whiteboarding at the same time, that's the best in my opinion. I think that is the best way of doing it. Love this, VA. Rod, my man, what's the most important info to convey in the first 2 segments? I think the first one is, the first part where it's the current situation. They got to know that you know, Rod. They got to know that you understand them. That's the empathy piece. I got to know that you know. And then you move towards the impact piece. Now, sometimes I think that there's levels of information, right? I think there's your general information, which everybody knows, right, Rod? And then I think you move to insight. Insight is a type of information, but it's a type of information you go, I didn't know that. I didn't think about that, right? That to me is insight. But then if you can take that insight and show them how it impacts them, they're like, what? I didn't know that. That's see what I'm saying? It's like levels. I mean, you can almost if I were to draw this out again, it's almost like it would look like this, where impact would be here, insight would be here, and info would be here. And what you want to do is build that type of value going up. That's how I would look at information when I put it together. So good question, man. Can you apply the same formula to a happenstance meeting with a new customer, like maybe a condensed version? Absolutely. I think Sparrow's Tail, if you have this in your head and it's recorded, right? Almost like a song you can't forget. Then what happens is that even when you're in a conversation with a client, you're going to be able to what? Compress it or expand it. It's almost like an accordion. Once you got to 15 minutes and you know it and know it well, you're going to have the option to make it longer or shorter. Now, there's a point where you can't make it too short or else it makes no sense, right? But let's say that the most you can squeeze it down is 10 minutes. Fine, 10 minutes is fine. So I think once you have it down, you can expand it or squeeze it down depending on the customer and the actual questions coming your way. Joshua says, thanks, Victor. This helps me a lot. Thank you for joining me, man. Appreciate you. Tarun says, great stuff, Victor. Thanks, man. I love when you guys are here, man. So thank you. Harshal Shah. Hey, Vic. I saw your 50 plus videos. I asked my team to see your videos. Your videos really help our entire sales team. Harshal, thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Great feedback. Always makes me feel good, man. Thank you. Master VA, how about a presentation demo one of these days? Maybe this is too much to ask. A presentation demo. Like, add some flavor to that and then, do one online or something? What do you mean how about a presentation demo? Let me know what you want. I'll do it. I'm not afraid. Loved it. I got excellent info as always. Thank you again. Rosa Hopkins, what's happening? Really like the structure tonight, Victor. I'm going to implement it on my calls. Thank you. Yes, even on your calls, you can implement this simple structure. And again, I think to Rod's question is that first part, right? Here's the current state. Here's what's going on. And then here's how it's impacting your business or people in your industry. And people go, she understands. Rosa gets it. And there's something psychologically that happens where the barriers come down, right? The force field comes down and people are more willing to listen if you can come in that way. If you come in hot and heavy with a bunch of questions, during discovery, then it's not going to be as effective. Discovery has its place. But I'm saying that if you understand their business and you understand your product and you understand the market, you don't have to ask a lot of questions. You know what's going on in their business. So Ashwin Prasad, much love, Victor. Right back at you, man. I do hypnosis that can drastically help police officers. Would this method work? And what approach do you have to approach police departments? Whatever you do is don't speed, don't get in trouble, and thinking if I go in jail, maybe I can have a conversation with them. Not a good strategy. That was a joke. When you look at helping something that helps police department, because that's almost like the hypnosis, I assume, is to reprogram them somehow. And that's always the tough part too, Ashwin, to document how that helps, right? And so one of the first things I would do is I would try to find a place, a police station or a police officer or somebody within, by the way, it doesn't have to be, it could be probably like firefighters or whatever it may be. Anybody who has to interact with people, probably this would help, right? And so what I would start doing is building a database of testimonials of working with different groups. If you really look at what like Tony Robbins does, I think it's really fascinating. Anthony Robbins, Tony Robbins, whatever. One of the things I've always admired about him is that in his earlier days, this is after his infomercials. Like some of you are too young to remember he was doing infomercials. Like Anthony Robbins was the first guy to do infomercials, for motivational products that really impacted people. And one of the things I've always liked about, I remember his testimonials, is that he would show, I remember this one, kind of related to police officers, Ashwin, where people were shooting, at a target range, right? At a shooting target, just, target, and then looking at their scores, right? And then they went through the Anthony Robbins psycho-cybernetics process, right? And then they shot again on the rifle or gun range, and their scores dramatically improved. And I always thought that was a very powerful way of doing before and after, right? Before, in your case, the hypnosis, and then post-hypnosis. And if you can find ways to get testimonials like that, like verified testimonials, real-life examples, to me, I would first work on getting that and then figuring out how can I spread this program to other places. That's what I would do. Great question though, man. Good luck with that. That's a beautiful question, man. Hope it goes well. Canva. Oh yeah, I know. Jared's a Canva fan, so he'll use that as well. There's a lot of programs out there. Ahmed, I'm just going through your presentation. My question, what do you advise if I really need to have 15 minutes to close the presentation? So I'm just going through your presentation. My question, what do you advise if you really need to have 15 minutes to close the presentation? Well, okay, so I'm confused because I just did a presentation on the 15 minutes. So you're saying maybe you'll need more to close it afterwards? So if you need a little more time, I would suggest, sometimes, Ahmed, we think that we need to say a lot of things to get to the close. And sometimes we don't need to say as much as we think we should. So what I would do is I would practice with let's say you have a 15-minute and an 18-minute. Right now you're at 18 minutes with with questions and answers. So you need the 15 minutes, right? I would practice taking stuff out and trying to truncate. Like I'm the guy that always looks at my slides when I use them. And I say, what can I eliminate? What can I combine? Those are two things I always ask myself. What can I eliminate? What can I combine? And I'm going to ask you the same thing. What can you eliminate? What can you combine? And then begin to start squeezing that and tightening up that presentation. Because you don't want to jam in so much information that you're rushing through it. I've seen this, by the way, I've made this mistake when I started speaking. I would put so much information and I wanted to do it in 45 minutes. And I just put in so much information that I found myself rushing through the information. And then it wasn't as effective. And so I just then started taking things out. And it's really painful to take things out, right, out of your presentation because you go, I might need that. I need to say that. But you'll realize that less is more. That would be my advice, that less is more, and maybe just try a couple of short version presentations for that. So great question, man. Today we have less time and need more results. Great structure, looking for the results. Thanks for the share. Anderson, thank you for joining me, man. Appreciate that. And I agree with you 100%. Talking about 45 minutes presentation, isn't it shrink-proof? Proven that when it comes to sales presentations, people only have a maximum of 20 minutes of attention span anyways. Yeah, I heard the numbers like close to 20. It's like 17, right? That's the number I've always had in my head. And so, in my brain, I always said it's either 15 or 17, so those two numbers I always played with. It could be 20. But I think you're right. I found out that my best keynotes, my best presentations are if they don't exceed 30 minutes. Like I'm talking about a keynote, speaking to an audience, doing a workshop and stuff like that. Not sales, just a presentation, whether it's a motivational presentation, a sales training presentation. I know that when they say 30 minutes, I'm like, all right, because I know 30 minutes is always like, it's a magic number for me. If I do 30 minutes, I know because it's just enough to get going. And at 30 minutes when I stop, it's like they want more because 30 minutes went like that. But I can do the 45 minutes, 1 hour, so forth, and I can make it exciting. But 30 minutes is always a great number. But yeah, I always use the number 17. 20 is close enough, so you're absolutely right. TJ, but nevertheless, thank you for the gold, man. Thank you, man, for being here. Maestros, what do you got to say? ¿Cómo lo aplicarás en la venta de servicio de consultoría empresarial? The same way, maestro. It would be the same way. It would be no different. If you're going to sell, consulting services, right? Services de consultoría empresarial. So you're selling to small businesses, por decirlo así, ¿no? Pequeñas empresas, pymes, ¿no? It would be the same thing. What do you have to offer? If I'm selling a service, what is that service going to do for them? So it's the same structure. If you're selling to small businesses, same thing. Even if you're selling to other entrepreneurs, it's the same structure. So whether it's B2B, B2C, es la misma estructura. La misma, okay? Same thing. I would use it. Ashwin, can we stick with hard copy for presentations? Can we stick with hard copy for presentation? Can we stick? I mean, I don't know what that means. Do you mean you give them a hard copy? I don't give hard copies of my presentation. I mean, if you're going to give one after you're done speaking. That's what I would say, Ashwin. And you're very welcome, man. Sorry, I shrunk that. Let me see if I can get that back up. There you go. But yeah, you're very welcome, man. I'm going to sign off in just a bit here. Victor, please thank you by hitting the like button and share. My man's always looking out for me, man. So, by the way, if you like this, man, hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. hit the share button right there, and then hit the like button right there. Do me a favor. I always ask people, just share this with at least one other person. That's the only price I ask you to pay, so to speak. Show us how you do a presentation, and we will act like the decision maker. How do I do a presentation? Like live like this? So I have to figure out what to actually present. How would I do that, though? By the way, I'll do it. It's not, like I said, I can do it off the cuff, but if I do a presentation, what am I selling you? Like the Sales Velocity Academy? I can do one on the Sales Velocity Academy. I can probably sell you the Sales Velocity Academy. Maybe I should just do a presentation on that. That would be cool, right? Oh yeah, thanks for the reminder. Cool. SAD peeps, there are no more than 20 of us, I think, here, but only 13 likes. Thank you, man. Elkin, I made that mistake when I did technical training. Too much work info makes people get lost really fast. Elkin, you're absolutely right. Sometimes you got to give them the small stuff, and it builds gradually, right? That's all you have to do. Don't give them too much. Do you do A/B testing, closing strategies? First of all, yes, I would recommend it. And I learned this years ago. I was working for a company, Matt, and we experimented with different closings, but not only the closing, also with the content. Like, for example, if we spent more time on a demo, did that help? So in other words, if we spend 10 minutes going through the demo, did that help compared to only a 5 to 7 minute version of going through the demo? And so we would also record the actual sessions, like audio record the session and actually listen to them. And then we would even look at the length of the presentations and things of that nature. So yeah, split testing A/B. To me, it's not so much the closing strategies, Matt, because I believe that, you just need one or two closing strategies. But if you do everything, to me, it's always the approach, right? If you can reduce that buyer resistance and you do it well, when you get to the landing, your close, it closes itself automatically. In other words, you just have to ask, which most people don't, by the way, right? I think it's like 72% of buyers don't actually ask for the close. So you got to ask for the close. You got to feel comfortable. And I think what happens is the reason people don't ask for the close, the majority of salespeople don't ask for the close, is that they're coming in bumpy, right? They're not confident of what they're selling or how they're positioning it. And so my suggestion is, yeah, work on your closing strategies, do some split testing on which phrases work better. But I would be more concerned with what content I'm presenting to reduce that resistance and in what sequence I'm doing it in. And then when I get to the close, does it feel natural? Does it come across as very natural? So I would say work on that. My man, Doug Lehman. What about a strategy follow-up on video if there is a next step video? Great point, Doug. I think if it's all through the internet, right? First of all, let's talk about if it's all through the internet, you're going to have to use video. But let's say the person says, let me think about it. One of the ways I think I would use it, Doug, and you bring up an exceptional point to use video, is that what if you followed up with the video? I don't know what you want to call this, Doug. What do you call that when, you know how you want to remind them, like the takeaways? There's 3 or 4 takeaways you wanted them to take away from that meeting. And once they leave that meeting, Doug, they're going to forget those takeaways, right? More likely than not. So what if you did a follow-up video re-emphasizing not only the takeaways, the benefits, and the offer as well? That might be interesting to really look at. How do you do a follow-up video? And what content would be in that follow-up video? Great question, my bad. Doug Lehman. That's a really good one, man. That's a really good one. Thank you so much. I love to watch your video, and I have learned a lot. Ahmed, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Yes, Victor, sell the Sales Velocity Academy. All right, just for you all. By the way, if you haven't checked out the Sales Velocity Academy, there it is. So again, over 50 courses, 500 videos. We add content all the time. If you like this stuff, you'll like the Sales Velocity Academy because it's more structured and I walk you through it very slowly. And again, people ask me this question, Victor, if I sign up, is it for life? No. Look, use it for a month, use it for 2 months, use it for 3 months. You can just cancel anytime you want. I don't want you to be in there forever. I want you to use it till you get the value you want and then you just get off of it. So I don't have a problem when people leave. So again, cancel anytime you want. Check it out. I think you'll enjoy. What's your best quick close? Based on what I showed you, is there any reason we shouldn't get started? Is there any reason we shouldn't get started? Based on everything we've said and talked about, is there any reason we shouldn't get started? There it is. How's that? And again, I just interviewed, hey Rod, you'll love this. I just interviewed, do I have his book here? Yeah, I do. Hold on. Only because This is a sneak peek promo. So I just interviewed my man, James Muir. So James Muir, let me see, get this video. Let me see if I get this little video going here. I can't do it. Hold on a second. Bear with me. Bear with me. I'm going to get this video. So I just interviewed James Muir, and there's the video, but I can't bring it up for some reason. Oh, now I know why. Now I got it. Here you go. So this is the book by James Muir, The Perfect Close. And so I just interviewed him, and I want you to go check out his book because I think it's an amazing book. I think it's a pretty good book. I read this book a while back, and what I love about the book is that it has a very, very simple close. A very simple close, and you don't even have to read the rest of the book. You can just go to chapter 11 and read the close, right? It's a 2-line close, one of the best 2-line closes I've ever heard. But what makes this book valuable, it's not the simple close that it has, only one close, right? What I love about it is that he talks about the psychology and the reason why it works. And so the content that he packs around this close makes you understand why closing with this approach works and how you should set up the actual presentation and the actual pitch. So for James Muir, check out The Perfect Close. I interviewed him this past week. His interview will be on the Sales Influence Podcast. So again, register for the Sales Influence Podcast. Look out for James Muir. I think in another week we'll have his interview ready to go, and I'm sure Chris is going to do a fantastic job with that. Sharing this with my best business friends. Neil Kent, I like you already. Don't know you, but I like you already, man. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. Anderson, what's happening? Workers used to book meeting on Outlook hour per hour, full hour, but normally can use it with less time as you showed us. Yeah, I think you can. Just squeeze it down. A couple more things here. Victor, what is the name of the new book that you have back on the shelf? This one, Why the Squirrel. Let me see. I got a couple of books here. Why the Squirrel Kept Winning. That one. Probably this one. Let me see. So, yeah, you guys asked me questions here. So, Why the Squirrel Kept Winning. Sales Models You Know. And this is one that's no longer available. The Corporate Inferno. This is my favorite, actually. It's based on Dante Alighieri's story. It's a story about ethics and philosophy. So I think it was my second book. So that's the book. But anyway, so let me wrap up real quick. Final thoughts. Again, hit the subscribe, do the like and the share. I'd appreciate it. Develop a 15-minute pitch. I'm telling you, everybody should have, whatever product or service you're selling, you should be able to do a 15-minute presentation. Just like they say you should always have an elevator speech, which I think is a little overblown in terms of its effectiveness. But I think having at the ready 15-minute presentation on being able to articulate the customer's pain point, how it'll impact their business, then talk about your solution, and then go in and offer the close. I think if you could have that presentation down, you'll never go wrong. And again, what I like about a 15-minute presentation is that once you get the 15-minute presentation down, if somebody gives you 30 minutes, you can now relax and really talk about the presentation without rushing through it. So let me just say this again, because this is important. Most people don't know this or really think about this. But when you develop a 15-minute presentation and somebody says you have 30 minutes, you need to fill the 30 minutes, what happens is you can then really explore what's in that 15 minutes and have more conversations, ask more questions from the audience, and it can grow into a 30-minute presentation. I can take a 10-minute presentation, literally, I can take a 10-minute presentation, maybe even a 15-minute presentation, and I can stretch it into an hour, and it'll still feel part of the same 10 to 15-minute presentation. So it allows you to kind of just relax. But if you have your 15-minute presentation and it's not rushed, I'm not talking about a rushed 15-minute presentation, close. I'm talking about a good, effective, straight to the heart, 15-minute presentation. That's what you want. So hopefully this structure will help you. And on that note, guys, this was episode 88, Sales After Dark, where money never sleeps. Thank you for joining me. We will see you on